What's going on, everybody, and welcome to the first of 39 WrestleMania reviews. That's right, guys. For the next 39 days, you are going to get 39 videos from me, where I'm going to be breaking down each of the 39 WrestleManias that have already happened, leading up to WrestleMania 40, April 6th. I think it's April 6th. I took off April 8th because that's the Monday after, so I hope it's April 6th. But it's going to be leading up to then. This episode is going to be going up February 27th. I'm recording it well in advance. As of recording this video, I have watched the first 7 WrestleManias. Obviously, I'll get to all of them. But some things that I've noticed throughout the watching of these WrestleManias has made this project change a little bit. And you'll kind of see what I mean when I show you the next screen. But before I get to that, look at this logo. This is mid-80s aesthetic right here. Just absolute aesthetic. And one of the nice things about this entire project that I really like is to see the evolution of not just the logo, but also the evolution of wrestling in general. Wrestling was very different in the 80s and the 90s and the 2000s and today. And it's really interesting. Just watching the first 7, I've already kind of seen a shift in how things are shot, how the matches go, the wrestling ideologies, the psychology, the crowd. What crowds thought were acceptable in the 80s is absolutely not to today's standards, which is both probably a good and a bad thing. But when I was rating these, I tried to get in the mindset as much as I could of, if I was watching this in the 80s, would I have enjoyed it? Not so much basing it off of today's standards, but basing it off of then. Now, there are some matches that the crowds were into that I just thought sucked, and my rating matches that, I feel like. But I really tried to be fair with it, but these first few WrestleManias were bad. I mean, really, really bad. Also, I'm glowing according to my screen here, mostly because you can't control the yeet, which, by the way, Jey Uso and Jimmy Uso, I really hope I see that match at this year's WrestleMania. I need it, okay? I need that brotherly street fight, all right? I really do. But that's not what we're here to talk about. We are here to talk about WrestleMania 1. So I am not the only one that did these ratings. I'm not the only one that did the watching. My roommate and one of my best friends, Rob, is a huge wrestling fan. He's actually going to WrestleMania 40 with me, with our friend John, who's coming up from North Carolina to hang out with us. So shout out to John. He's our ride, and he's also taking care of lodgings for us. So appreciate you, buddy. But unfortunately, John wasn't able to watch these, so he's just kind of chipping in when he can. But Rob is watching all of them with me. That is Rob's basically review on the far left side there with notes and everything like that. Overall grades. We are going to give an overall grade to WrestleMania. You might notice something, and this is what I was talking about at the beginning, where this review process has kind of undergone a change as I've watched these WrestleManias. You'll notice that Rob's are A through F. Mine were as well. Mine still are. However, I was also referencing Cage Match when I was looking at what the match card was going to be, just to sort of keep my notes in order. And I noticed that Cage Match uses a 1 through 10 scale, and I feel like that kind of matches a more understandable, there's also star ratings, but fuck Dave Meltzer. I don't care about his star ratings. So I decided about midway through this to change to a point scale. Rob, obviously, is a bit ahead of me, and so he obviously has used a letter grade, used a letter grade all the way through, and I kind of have too. But luckily, Rob has given me pluses and minuses. As you can tell from the very first one, there's a B minus. So it kind of helps me take his and put him into a point scale. So what I've done is I've taken my points, what I gave the match. I take what Rob gave the match, and I average it out. So I add them together, divide by 2, and that ends up giving it its final ranking of where I'm going to put it from 0 to 10. I don't expect there to be too many zeros. And if there is something that I don't necessarily like, Rob, did you give us a 1 or a 0 or a 10 or a 9? I'll talk to him about that and figure that out. Or we may do that, as you'll see later on in this review. So, the first match on the card was Tito Santana versus the Execution. Get in order, you motherfuckers. Thank you. Tito Santana versus the Executioner was the first match on the WrestleMania 1 card. The Executioner was basically a masked wrestler. You weren't supposed to know who he is. I looked up who he was, and I've done forgot who he was now. But he's supposed to be a very basic, generic masked wrestler. You weren't supposed to know who he was. Tito Santana, by the way, massive appreciation for Tito Santana. After watching the first 7 Manias that I have, Tito Santana is a hell of a worker, and I really enjoy him. I've never seen him. I didn't even know he existed before I started this project, and I've become a big Tito Santana fan, so shout out to him. But I gave this match a D. And the reason I gave this match, and I have my little notes here, first of all, I loved how they made the Executioner use a very basic moveset. You know, you're not supposed to know who he is, but that doesn't make the match good, right? I understand his role, and he played his role really well. That doesn't make it good. It was very bare bones. You know, there wasn't a lot to it. They didn't do a lot of moves, mostly because they wanted to keep the Executioner's identity a secret. So well that, like I said, I looked it up, and I don't even remember who it was anymore. But also, during this time, Tito Santana had a major rivalry going with Greg Valentine, who used the figure 4 leg lock before Ric Flair did. And that's actually how he beat him, which I thought was a really good touch, but not enough to, like, make this match good. You know, storyline-wise, fantastic touch. Not great to kind of make this match watchable. So I gave it a D, I gave it a 3, but as you can tell, Rob gave it a B-, which based on a number scale, an A is a 10 or a 9, a B is an 8 or a 7, a C is a 6, 4, or 5, a 6, 5, or 4. A D is a 3 and a 2, and an F is a 1 or a 0. And that's also why I switched to the point scale here, being 0 to 10. I was giving a lot of C's, and you'll see that as I talk about this. I gave a lot of C's. And I realized that there was a major difference between a 6 and a 4, but they were all still getting C's. And that's also why I changed to the point scale, because a 4 is a bad match, or not a bad match, but not a good match, right? It's just a match. Where a 6 could be a really good match with maybe a bad finish, or maybe a boring middle, or a boring preference, or just a random match thrown together, and you could tell they don't have good chemistry together. Still a decent match. I still enjoyed it. I would watch it again, but it's not a B or an A, right? You have to be a good match to be a B or an A, as you'll see throughout this, in my opinion. And that's why I don't necessarily agree with Rob giving it a B- here. I'm not going to argue with him. If he enjoyed it, he enjoyed it. But a B- for me is going to be a 7. I gave it a 3. That's going to average out to a 5. So while me and Rob disagree, this match, honestly, I don't necessarily disagree with it being a 5. Maybe I was too harsh on it when I gave it a 3. I think a 5 matches out. It's a bare bones match. It's a match that exists, really and truly. It's there. The second match is going to be King Kong Bundy versus SD Jones. Trash. Rob gave it an E. That's how much he hated it. I know he probably meant to give it an F, but he gave it an E. That's how much he hated it. He's like, you're getting your own letter. I thought this match was trash. It's a 9-second match. I hate squash matches. I fucking hate. I understand the purpose of a squash match to signify someone as a powerhouse, and I can also respect the fact that this is WrestleMania 1. And so, being WrestleMania 1, I can understand and appreciate why, you know, you maybe you didn't think WrestleMania was the big deal that it was going to become, and so that's your defense of putting a squash match at WrestleMania. But, and again, that may be me thinking of modern terms versus the 80s, but this match is a 0. I'm sorry. Like, Rob gave it an E. I think that fits in the same realm as a 0. Trash. Not only that, but if you watch that match, they blunder. It's a botch. They botched the match. It's a 9-second match, and you still screwed it up. SD Jones, or King Kong Bundy rather, doesn't hit SD Jones hard enough for him to bounce up the turnbuckle and hit the ground. So we had to go over there and hit an additional move on it. SD Jones didn't sell it right. King Kong Bundy didn't hit it right. You botched the 9-second match. No, 0. Get out of here. I don't care. Next up, we have Matt Bourne versus Ricky Steamboat. For me, I actually really enjoyed this match. I love Ricky Steamboat. He has always been very animated. His movesets have always been really good. it's a lot of strikes, a lot of body slams, but that was basically wrestling back in the 80s. So this is where I'm looking at it from an 80s aspect, not so much a modern times aspect. Still a fantastic match. Great back and forth between both wrestlers. I thought both wrestlers got good offense in. Both wrestlers got good defense in. It wasn't a squash match. They actually used their movesets, so immediately it's better than the Tito Santana Executioner match. And, well, for me, obviously, again, this is where I'm spoiled by modern wrestling. A flying press off the top turnbuckle isn't a finisher to me. Although then again, I'm a huge fan of Montez Ford's 5-star frog splash and Kairi Sane's flying elbow, so maybe that's hypocritical of me. But a flying press, you see it so much, so often in modern. It's almost like the super kick. It's not a finisher anymore. But that was Ricky Steamboat's finisher. That's how he finished the match. So originally I had this match as an A. I had this match as a 9. The ending was like, it was a bit anticlimactic to me, but then the announcers are like, oh, he never does that move. No one ever kicks out of it. This move is fantastic. And I was like, okay, well, shit. I guess maybe that's just how he finishes matches in that time. So moved it back up to a B+ for me, which is going to put it at an 8. B+ for me is an 8. So that's where I'm going to put it. Rob gave it a B, which is going to be even if it's a low 7, it's going to end up averaging out to a 7.5. We're going to round it up to an 8. So I think putting this at an 8 is going to be something that both me and Rob can. Next up, we have Brutus Beefcake versus David Sammartino. David Sammartino was managed by his living legend, Bruno Sammartino, who I actually know about because the modern Roman Reigns is, everyone's talking about, Roman Reigns is going to break Bruno Sammartino's record for WWE title defenses. Yeah, okay, sure. Brutus Beefcake, I did it again. Brutus Beefcake was managed by the luscious Johnny Valiant. Honestly, it was a pretty decent match. Very slow starting match. It definitely seemed to be a match that was more about the managers, David Sammartino and Brutus Beefcake, over Johnny Valiant rather than Sammartino versus Brutus Beefcake. And I was fine with that. They played their roles absolutely excellently. A bit of a slower paced beginning than I would have liked. But again, I'm used to that. I watch a lot of Japanese wrestling. Some of the Japanese wrestlers are my favorite, and a lot of Japanese wrestling is very slow starting, rapid ending. So I'm okay with that for this match. I thought that they played their roles excellently. Very rapid paced second half of the match. Initially, I was going to give it a B. The ending was a little bit controversial with the managers getting involved, and it basically becoming a double count, if I recall correctly. But still, everyone played their roles great. It was nice to actually see Bruno Sammartino. I've never actually seen what he looks like outside of old pictures of him. So it was nice to see him on screen. I thought his son David wrestled pretty well. Although I don't think I see him again in any other WrestleMania. So I don't know if he went on to do other things outside of the WWE or not. I thought this match was good. Kind of a rough beginning, so I gave it a C. This is where I was talking about where not all C's are built the same. I gave this a 6 out of 10. It wasn't a bad match by any means, but, a bit of a rough ending, and I didn't really, controversial ending, rough beginning, great middle and end. Overall, I'd give it a 6 out of 10. Rob seemed to like this match a little bit more. He gave it a B+, which is going to be an 8 out of 10. So that's going to put this match comfortably at a 7. I think that fits. Don't think there'll be any arguments between me and Rob giving that a 7 out of 10 overall. So yeah, good match. Next up, we have what is probably the biggest controversy between me and Rob on this list here. Greg Valentine versus Junkyard Dog in an Intercontinental title match. I think this match would be perfect for our first ever match review. What that means is I am going to go see Rob. Me and Rob are going to sit down and we're going to actually watch this match together with you guys while the match is on the screen. And basically, we're going to take a look and review this match live. I gave this match a flat out F. Rob gave this match a C. And I want to see how the hell he did that. So, let's go talk to Rob. Hi. So, there was supposed to be a match review here. But some things have changed. As you can tell, this is not quite my normal recording setup. My green screen is way back there. This is kind of a last-minute thing that I'm having to do here for WrestleMania 1. Long story short, I grossly estimated, if you will, how strict copyright rules were for WWE film. We voice over the match, right? So originally the idea was for us to play the match. We're going to talk about the match while it was going on. I didn't realize that that was absolutely fucking no. There's no reactionary content allowed for WWE content at all. I was shocked because you see people on TikTok do it all the time. So I was quite shocked to discover that you are simply not allowed to do that. So what has happened is all 4 of the WrestleMania reviews that I have done so far, I'm looking at them on the screen here, have all been blocked. Just flat out blocked. Obviously, they haven't been uploaded yet at the time of me recording this. But they've all been blocked. So, me and Rob are going to have to get together tonight as of filming this. And I'm actually filming this literally an hour before WrestleMania 1 review goes up. Just so you guys can have context for everything here. Rob is not going to be home for another 3 or so hours. Which means we're not going to have time to do a match review for the Junkyard Dog match as we had planned. So, what I'm going to do really quickly is kind of go over our notes here that we had both kind of done for this match. And what we're going to start doing tomorrow with WrestleMania 2, which is what we're going to film tonight, is basically a podcast-style discussion about the match that we have chosen for that WrestleMania, and in doing so, kind of discuss kind of a more in-depth review than what you've seen so far with the matches that we've talked about so far and the matches that we're going to talk about after this one. Give it a bit more flavor, right? And you're also going to get Rob's opinions on it too, and not just mine for the match review. So, basically, my biggest complaints about the Junkyard Dog match were the fact that his headbutts were just absolutely atrocious. That was the number one thing. I couldn't take it seriously. I mentioned it in later reviews as well about how my biggest issue with Junkyard Dog in general is just the sheer lack of selling, the sheer lack of offense. It doesn't look real, which I know it's not, but it looks overtly fake, and it looks bad fake, right? Not entertaining, not funny. It just looks bad to me. Now, I'm not going to deny that Junkyard Dog is extremely over with the crowd. And that's where Rob was coming in with his opinions on this match. Was that, sure, the headbutts look stupid. He's supposed to be a dog. He's over with the crowd. The crowd loves it. But I feel like they love it in the circus act way, which isn't good for me. Like, again, this was one of the few situations where I guess I get too modernized in my review here. And I kind of take away from the fact that this is in the 80s, where this type of stuff is more appropriate and more celebrated than it is now. So that's where my review is coming from. Again, we had talked about a lot of other things in this review. And unfortunately, it got the video blocked. So, not how I wanted this to start. We're going to get better with it. There's a lot of changes that I'm making as I go throughout these reviews. These reviews are going to evolve. If you guys have any opinions, of course, let me know down below. But of course, tomorrow we will actually have a true match review. And so if you want to know exactly how it's going to look, don't forget to tune in tomorrow for WrestleMania 2. Anyway, back to me. So obviously, I'm still going to stick with what we gave it initially. We're not going to allow redos. We rank these live in person. We're going to keep them live in person. Rob gave this match a C. I'm going to assume that means it's a 5 out of 10, and that's what we're going to go with, because I don't see how he could put it any higher than a 5 out of 10. I am going to say this match was a 1 out of 10, so that gives it a 6. That's going to average out to a 3. I don't think it deserves it. I'm not going to argue. That's how we're going to do it. Again, I thought this match was really bad. Anyway, you've heard us talk about it already. Next up, we have the Tag Team Championship match between Barry Windham and Mike Rotunda versus the Iron Sheik and Nikolai Volkov. Now, Iron Sheik and Nikolai Volkov are perfect heels for the time period. Of course, I'm not a big fan of the Foreigner versus America trope. Obviously, it was very big in the 80s. And then again, it got a decent reaction when they did Jinder Mahal versus The Rock recently. So maybe it could still have a place in wrestling. I'm not a big fan of it. I think we've passed the time where that kind of works. But that's what this was all about. Barry Windham, Mike Rotunda were the champions, going up against Iron Sheik and Nikolai Volkov. I actually thought this match was really good. One of my things that I really liked about this match, well, I didn't really like it. I can't say I liked it, but it was something that was very different. Fans throwing shit in the ring was definitely not something I expected. It was extremely, it was very odd for me to see like, that doesn't happen now. Like, you do it now, you're kicked out of the stadium. You did not care about the safety of their workers then. Just a very interesting thing that I noticed was just sheer things thrown out. Every time Iron Sheik and Nikolai Volkov would talk, just things just being thrown into the ring. Just it was crazy to see. Great match overall. Fun match to watch. Personally, I felt it was the highlight of the event so far. Another kind of meh finish. Not the best selling. Rotunda and Windham just don't have a ton of offense in the match. It's most of the bad guys carrying. Good guys come back at the end. Bad guys accomplish their goal at the very end and win. Yeah, it was a decent match overall. I actually really enjoyed the story of the match. I enjoyed the crowd reaction, which was honestly my favorite part of the match, was the crowd reaction. Overall, I gave this match a B. I thought it was really good. And as you could tell, Rob thought it was a C+, so didn't like it quite as much as I did. I gave it a B. I gave it a 7. Rob gave it a C+, which is going to be a 6. Again, not all C's are the same. A C+ is still going to be a decent match. Maybe Rob just thought the selling hurt it more than I did. A 7+, it's still going to be a 6.5. It's still going to average out to a 7. So I'm still going to obviously put it at the 7 list. I think me and Rob can both agree with that as well. But yeah, overall, decent match. Not the best match in the world, but decent match and better than the shit we just saw. Anyway, moving on. Andre the Giant versus Big John Studd. Big John Studd had Bobby Heenan, one of the best managers in the entire history of the WWE, in a body slam for $15,000 match. A very interesting gimmick match between a massive Andre the Giant and an also massive Big John Studd. Big John Studd basically came into the match saying that no matter how strong or big Andre was, there was no way he could body slam him, and he was going to put $15,000 on the line. Now that doesn't sound like shit nowadays, but it was about $60,000 or $70,000 back then. So a decent stack of cash was put on for this match. It was the spectacle of the era, Andre the Giant was a big man. Big John Studd was a big man. Neither one of them could really be body slammed. They had never been body slammed before. Of course, it ended with Andre the Giant body slamming him. Crowd was super into it. They loved seeing these two big, meaty men slapping meat. Just like Big E said, it's always been a thing. Everyone loves big, meaty men slapping meat. This was one of those situations where that's all it was. It was two big men trying to beat each other down enough for one to body slam the other. Of course, Big John Studd tried to take the cash anyway. Andre said nay, started throwing the cash out to the crowd. It's a great moment. A decent gimmick match. I'm not a big fan of them. The match overall was kind of boring. I get the premise of it. They beat each other, but I'm not into these matches. All right, the crowd was into it. I get it was a big match at the time. I wasn't crazy about it. As you can tell, Rob wasn't crazy. But again, the point of the match was good. The crowd was into it. I would have probably given this a 1 out of 10, honestly, if it wasn't for the crowd saving it, because the crowd was fucking into it. It's a gimmick match. I'm not a big fan of gimmick matches. I understand some of the crowds are. It's never been my thing. I mean, some of them for fun can be like, you have the holiday gimmicks events. Those are always fun matches just because of what they are. It's just crowd service at that point. It's WrestleMania. I don't like gimmick matches in WrestleMania. It's just not my thing. So for that, I'm gonna give this a 1. Rob gave this a D. Actually, no, I'm sorry, not giving it a 1 because that's an F. I thought the crowd saved it. I'm gonna give it a 3. Rob gave it a D. I think that kind of makes a 3 work. So yeah, into the 3 category you go. Andre the Giant, Big John Studd, $15,000 body slam match. We have 2 matches left to go. I hope you guys are enjoying this review, and I hope this made you enticed to watch WrestleMania. By all means, go and do it. Don't forget to click like and subscribe to this channel. Again, I'm going to be doing 39 of these. I've also got a bunch of other stuff here as well, so hopefully you like that. Also, follow me on Twitch. I stream at least 5 days a week. That's my ad plug, because I'm not big enough to get an actual ad for this, so there's my ad plug. Hope you enjoy it. Last 2 matches here are a couple of, well, they're matches. Anyway, I almost said they're a couple of fun ones. They're matches. First, we're going to get to the WWF Women's Championship match between Leilani Kai and Wendy Richter. Never heard of these two in my entire life. I have heard of Fabulous Moolah. She's a piece of shit. So, first of all, that's just how that is. She was not a good person. But we're here to review wrestling matches, not not the personalities behind them. So I'm not going to rate this differently because Fabulous Moolah is a piece of shit. Cyndi Lauper is a celebrity. She was the celebrity guest of the week outside of Mr. T, which comes later. And basically every guest referee that was in that match. But yeah, this women's match, great bumps, very sloppy. I don't think these two had a lot of chemistry together. Leilani Kai is the champion, Wendy Richter's the challenger here. This match was apparently really heavily hyped. That's why it's here as the runner, as the penultimate match before the main event. This match had a lot of heat coming into it. Moolah was big. The fact Cyndi Lauper was in the match is big. But I have a major issue with this match. I really do. And if you guys go back and watch this, you'll see what I'm talking about. Leilani Kai taps out like 6 times, which I guess the rules changed at some point in wrestling to where tap outs are no longer the end of the match anymore. I don't know when that changed. I've gone through 7 Manias and I haven't seen where that's changed yet. I see tap outs all the time and they're not the end of the match. I don't understand. Apparently they have to say I quit or give up to the referee, the referee's discretion. But Leilani Kai tapped out 6 times in his match. It took me out. It really did. It completely destroyed my immersion, if you will. Overall, the match wasn't terrible. It was a decent back and forth. I liked how the managers got involved at points. Made them have a purpose to be out there. I thought the bumps were really good. I thought they actually did moves, which has been rare for this event. So I thought that was pretty cool. Honestly, not a bad match. Again, the tapping out, just, it really hurt. I gave it a C. Nothing great, nothing terrible. Solid C. Rob gave it a B. I'm going to say it's a 5. Rob gave it a B, so I'm going to assume he's looking at like a 7 since he didn't give it a B plus like he did before. So I'm going to assume he gave it a 7. That's going to average out to a 6. I think that's fair for this match. Nothing great. Nothing fantastic. Yeah, I would say it's better than the Tito Santana match. Better than the Greg Valentine and Junkyard Dog match. Better than every other match before it. Not as good as the matches above it. I think based on where we've rated everything else, I think that fits at a 6. Finally, the main event of the evening. Hulk Hogan versus Mr. T in a tag team title match against Roddy Piper and Paul Orndorff with Cowboy Bob Orton, Randy Orton's father, in their corner, and Jake, wow, that's not who it is, Jimmy Superfly Snuka and Hulk Hogan in Mr. T's corner. Again, tons of pre-match hype, which is basically par for the course for Hulk Hogan. Hulk Hogan was massive in this era. Every kid wanted to be a Hulkamaniac. Actually, I think this was just before the Hulkamania phrase. Because obviously this is the first WrestleMania. But yeah, Hulk Hogan was still hyped. Crazy seeing him young, without wrinkles all over his face. That was bizarre to begin with. And I can understand the hype behind him. You know, you eat your vitamins, you Hulkamaniac, stuff like that. Obviously now we know he's a piece of shit. Again, we're not rating the person behind the personality. We're just rating the matches. This match was decent. It was a lot of a lot of hype. The crowd. Listen, I'm a very big proponent. I've always said this when I was doing my live SmackDown and Raw ratings. I have conversations with my friends about it all the time. The crowd can make a match. If you have a bad crowd, your match is not going to be good. It's just how it is. I thought the crowd was into it. I thought the crowd was enjoying themselves. And I think the crowd made this match a lot better. Mr. T, clearly not a wrestler. He's clearly just there. But Rowdy Piper and Paul Orndorff sold their asses off for him. They made him look good. He actually sold pretty well when he was taking offense. Hulk Hogan did Hulk Hogan things. Crowd was into it. Muhammad Ali as a special enforcer was terrifying. Just that big man gets in the ring. No, I'll do what you say. I got you. Yeah, you want me to do that? Yeah, you win. Breaking up the group at the beginning when they all got involved, that was just it was an entertaining match, which is the whole point of this, you know. However, as you can tell, Rob strongly disagreed and gave this match 2. Actually, no, I think he said gave it a D+. So he gave it a 3. I thought it was better than that. I gave it a B. I thought this match was actually relatively decent. It's not a ball burner by any chance. The chaos in the match, especially towards the end, was really exciting. It was really fun. It was more so a chaos fest than a good ending. But I left not hating this match. Again, the crowd being so into it really helped my enjoyment of the match. It happens. It happens more often than we think. So I gave this match a B. It's a low B. It's a 7. But it's a B. Rob gave it a 3. I gave it a 7. That's going to average out to a 5. Pretty much the same as the Tito Santana match did. Yeah. Ironically, the Tito Santana match and the main event here kind of flip-flopped for me and Rob. I thought it wasn't as good as Rob did with the main event. I thought it was better than Rob did, which is why we do this review, so we can get as close to non-bias as possible. So yeah, this is our current... this is our WrestleMania 1 review right here, guys. We have the best match of the night, according to me and Rob, being Matt Bourne and Ricky Steamboat. And we have the worst match of the night, that Garbage Fest botched 9-second match between King Kong Bundy and Dusty Jones. Again, I would love to hear your guys' opinions if you've seen WrestleMania 1. If you haven't seen WrestleMania 1 and you want to check it out to see if your opinions are the same as me and Rob's here, by all means, do so. Or, we've done it for you. I hope you enjoyed this review, guys. Let me know how I can make these better. Again, I have watched the first 7, and I'm probably going to end up recording most of these, obviously, before you actually see this one. So, if you have a way to make this better, more than likely, it's not going to get implemented until, like, 25 or 30 of these have been done. But anyway, it's the only way I'm going to get through 39 of these in a row. So, yeah. If you have a way to make this better, tell me down below and then tune in to WrestleMania 20 and see how I implement it. But obviously we'll see how it goes as we record them. But anyway, you guys have a fantastic evening. I will see you guys tomorrow for WrestleMania 2. Till then, peace.